People are now making their way over there. We have a window of opportunity of literally a few hours to be able to get out there and start the post-mortem to try and unlock all those clues that are not only going to tell us why that whale died, but also help us understand the whales that are still living out there.
We won a Bafta for our specialist factual series, Inside Nature's Giants, which is a new take on natural history and filming using dissection of animals to reveal their anatomy. We won the Bafta award for the first series, and we just completed our second series, so who knows what might happen next year. I think we ended up winning the Bafta because really this was something that was completely new to TV, and a real eye-opener, a different way of producing natural history films. I mean, the BBC have been so great at producing natural history films for years, and that's what I was brought up on, watching them, and it's kind of what I sort of long to produce myself. And what we did was just we couldn't take them on at their own game. And we came up with another way of interesting the public in the natural world, but just in a completely different way. And I think it was just its innovative approach, and also slightly risque in places because cutting up animals is on the face of it probably something a bit wacky, and people could probably say a bit gory, but actually it's what scientists do all the time. In making the series, we had to balance between the science that we wanted to show to people and also the kind of gore factor that we didn't want to put people off, because that's where the series was going to win or lose. And we were genuinely worried that we'd put a year's amount of work into this series, that actually seeing a picture of an elephant on a slab in a paper, in a newspaper, would actually turn people off instead of get them to watch. And it really could have happened. And I think actually what helped was the reviews in the newspapers liked it for its content, because what we were doing with the series was using these animals to basically tell kind of modern day just so stories. How did the elephant get its trunk, for example? Those kind of riddles, but actually with a proper scientific approach, proper scientific answers. But it was keeping the idea simplified and the story simplified so that you would watch throughout the whole program, because we solved one puzzle and now there's another puzzle to solve, and that was the approach of the series.
I never seen a whale in my life.
Here was a unique chance to explore the anatomy of a whale and discover its evolutionary story.
Dissecting a whale, showing how an elephant's ears are full of veins. I mean, you can do these things with CGI and stuff like that, and that's what a lot of films rely on these days. And I think we just went a bit back to the drawing board and thought, well, as long as we can convince people that what they're watching has been done respectfully, and and its intent isn't to disgust, it's actually to educate and entertain, I think we've done our job properly.
This is obviously the head of the whale. It's on its side and slightly on its back. You can see one eye just down here. This is its upper jaw. This is the baleen plates. These are made of keratin, like your fingernails, that they're used for filtering out all the food this animal eats when it dives and feeds.
Personally, I've been on the series from its inception. So right from day one, when at work we were sort of coming out with new ideas, and personally I was wanting to make a series about natural history, but my company was very a kind of engineering-based company, and we made a lot of documentaries about engineering, and it's almost a hybrid of the two things, because what we're trying to do through this series is show how animals work, That's one of our goals. And so it's almost like we came together, but what we didn't have was a hook. We had that idea we wanted to bridge engineering and animals, but we didn't have the hook that, why would you watch this program? Why, if you weren't interested in how animals work, would you watch it? And it was when we came across an article about a giant squid being dissected in New Zealand, and it was actually webcast on the internet. And we watched it and thought, well, this is what scientists do every day. And are there other animals that can be dissected and their mysteries revealed? And so once we had that idea, it was basically my job to see, can it be done? Where would we get the animals from? Where would we dissect them? Who would dissect them? Those were kind of my responsibilities. So I had to get in contact with different institutions, to basically see if they would donate their animals for the series, get in touch with organisations to see if they wanted to come on board with us on the series to give it extra credence, and we eventually ended up working with the Royal Veterinary College, and that again helped it to become more than just a TV programme. It was working with scientists, and that again helped give it some sense of authority.
This is its tongue, believe it or not, which is blown up because of the gas inside it. Absolutely massive. And you can even see these tiny little papillae on it. It's just slightly rough to the touch. It is extraordinary being this close. It's so sad it's dead, but extraordinary.
I think it was the animals that you wouldn't usually get airtime where we really succeeded. So, for example, the giraffe was an absolutely fascinating program because it's really pushed sort of evolution to the limit. You know, it's got a massive long neck.
And then let it go.
You can't move
Then let it go and see where it goes.
Whoa!
Exactly. And that's exactly what happens. And when it stops drinking, that is 2 seconds for the head to swing through a 4-meter arc.
It's got the biggest blood pressure of any animal, and it's you know, we were kind of looking for the extremes. So the elephant, the biggest land animal, a whale, the biggest thing alive, a giraffe, the tallest animal, a crocodile, you know, one of the most ferocious predators around.
Whoa, look at that.
Look at that.
That's dramatic. Wow. That is truly spectacular.
This would have been the dome where the diaphragm was and the stomach. Keep going, a little bit more.
We're going to hit the sharp edges of the ribs, Graham.
That's okay. And the ribs would have been like that, and so you can see that the lung bulges up into where the ribs would have been, and it fills this whole space. Every single time it breathes, that's what it has to do.
We definitely had ideas for the animals we wanted, but that didn't necessarily guarantee us that we were going to film them, and it took a lot of work to convince people to donate their animals. In the second series, it was probably a lot easier because we'd already done the groundwork. We'd already shown people that what we were doing, what we could do with these animals was going to be something worth working with us towards.
Okay, this is freed up.
Under the skin lies not only the clues to this animal's death, but also the secrets of how the biggest mammals on Earth evolved.
Making documentaries was actually something that appealed to me right from, you know, my early days. It's actually something that just happened over a summer once. I started watching some documentary films, BBC natural history films, and it kind of opened me to a world that I'd never seen before because I was from London, spent my whole life living in London, and sort of the television allowed me access to a whole new world. And I think that's what drew me in. I thought that's what I want to do. I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to make documentaries myself or I wanted to just explore the world. But I ended up changing my A-levels to biology and geography, and that's the kind of route I wanted to go down. And when it came to deciding where I wanted to study, I really couldn't decide between going to Nottingham and going to Bristol. They were kind of the two at the time which were quite popular. And also from my point of view, Bristol had access to the BBC Natural History Unit, which is kind of the cornerstone of natural history filmmaking. So that was a very strong appeal to me. But Nottingham had its own appeals. One of the greatest was the photography modules that you could do on the course. I'd never studied photography before, never had the opportunity to, and being able to do something that was quite vocational on such a scientific degree really appealed to me. Studying zoology at Nottingham, it opened all the right doors for me. I nearly ended the course actually staying in academia because, I enjoyed the kind of scientific process so much. And, when you're a scientist, you're almost unraveling mysteries yourself. And that's, you're breaking boundaries, you're doing things that no one's ever seen before. And those were the sorts of things that appealed to me as a scientist. But what appealed to me from a kind of documentary point of view was the storytelling process. And I kind of like that. And also the other opportunities that documentaries, that a career in documentaries can give you, which was kind of, exciting travel to really remote places. I've always been my own person and felt that I don't want to follow other people. And the way to succeed is perhaps to do things your own way and to break the mold and not sort of copy someone else. Almost, this is the way you should do things, then I'm going to go this way because there's another way around. And so my advice to someone maybe wanting to get into industry like I am in is especially in today's world where computer prices are coming down and cameras are coming down, is to learn yourself, is to do your own thing. You're never going to become a master at what you do unless you get some, higher training or you have sort of mentors to kind of guide you. But I think if you can show initiative, then people are going to be more attractive to hiring you, because at the end of the day, people hire you because they want to trust you. And if you can show some sort of trust and you can show that people can rely on you to do work, then they're going to be much more interested in hiring you. So I think the biggest thing for me would be to tell people to use your initiative, try and do things that other people haven't done, and that will get you noticed. There's so many people looking for the same job. You've got to try and do something different and stand out.